Welcome along, fellow time travelers and strange historians. This time around, we're going to travel back in time to check out some of my favorite historic photos of John Lennon at Tittenhurst Park. This is part 1. Before I begin, please like and share the show and kindly subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Now please join me around the campfire. In addition to images of John Lennon, I'm going to show you some historic images associated with Tittenhurst Park that I hope you will also enjoy. Some of these photos may not have been seen by Beatles fans before. Now, I like to credit photographers, and I always will do so when I know. And if I don't know and you do, please let me know in the comments below, and I could always add their information to the description or to a pinned comment. I know that a lot of people don't like hearing about architecture and history, but that's sort of my thing, and so periodically I'll produce some shorter shows like this one, where I'll stick to a handful of cool images, and I won't dive too deep into a rabbit hole. And that is why this is part 1. If people seem to enjoy this format, then I will create a lot more like this one. I think there's a lot of value in doing this, because sometimes people see photos and they simply don't know who's in the photo, or where the photo was taken, or when it was taken. And so I'm going to do my part to try to help with that when I'm able to. So let's get rolling. This first image was taken from a helicopter and was shot by John and Yoko's friend and assistant Dan Richter during the making of the Amaze promotional film. As you can see, the Georgian mansion is dead center, and there are a series of walking paths around and through the gardens, including the path that leads directly down from the stairs to the east of the mansion and all the way down to the pond, with the statue of Diana in the center. To the left of the fountain can be seen the tall incense cedar, where the Beatles were photographed on August 22, 1969. And on the left side you can see a whistle cypress that is well over 55 feet tall. You could also see a Wellingtonia. You could see a Hinoki cypress. There is also a tall monkey puzzle tree. And on the far left are the 2 weeping blue atlas cedar trees, where once again the Beatles were photographed on August 22, 1969. A glimpse of the swimming pool can be seen on the far left at the bottom of the descending slope. This image was taken during the production of the Imagine film. That is the great genius Phil Spector next to John. Yoko Ono is, of course, inches from John Lennon. I'm not sure who the gentleman is behind Yoko. It's possible it could be Mal, and probably is Mal. Otherwise, the only other person I could think of that it would be engineer Eddie Veal, who built the studio for John. Or it could be somebody else. And so if you know, please share in the comments below. And also the gentleman behind Phil Spector, I have no idea who that is, so if you know, please let us know in the comments below. This recording studio was built to the south of the kitchen inside the mansion. So that window looks out to the west side of the mansion, towards the Wibbly Wobbly Way. This is a photo of John and Yoko on the stairs to the east of the mansion. It was taken by Dan Richter, who was living at Tittenhurst Park at the time, and this is a colorized photo, by the way. On the ground floor of the mansion are the doors leading to the dining room where the Beatles were photographed during their photo session. On the second floor, well, first floor if you're European, are bedrooms, and on the far right, on the top floor, John actually had a kitchen built in that area, so he didn't have to go all the way downstairs, when you live in a 10,000 square foot mansion, to get whatever it is that he would have wanted. On the far left, on the top of the porch, can be seen a structure that was built to, I don't know if that's decorative or not, but it's intended to house pigeons or doves. And this photo was clearly taken before they had the railing put up there, where later they would add furniture, and it'd be kind of a nice space to hang out and enjoy the beauty of the gardens. This photo was taken in the dining room, where you'll see the photos of the Beatles during their last photo shoot. The windows behind them overlook the south side of the mansion, and if you keep going that way, you'll hit the descending slope and stairs that lead down to the swimming pool. Even though this is a black and white photo, you can see the wood paneling on the walls and the floorboards, and the paneling would soon be painted all white, and white carpet will soon cover the floors. This image is also from the Imagine film and shows a closer look at the mansion from above. Behind the east side of the mansion, you can see the square-shaped building on the far left. That was the location of the recording studio, which was the first residential recording studio in the UK. And on the top floor of that space, John and Yoko used that area for film editing. In fact, when Dan Richter told his friend, director Stanley Kubrick, about this, Kubrick was so impressed that he actually asked to borrow the editing equipment so he could edit at home too. In fact, check out Dan Richter's book, The Dream is Over, to learn more about his professional relationship with the director. It's pretty amazing stuff. This photo shows the east side of the mansion and a bit of the north side of the mansion on the far right. That is actually the main entry to the mansion. You see those windows on the far right on the ground floor? That is where John Lennon's white piano was when he filmed the scene where he was singing Imagine with Yoko walking around opening up all the shutters. The rooms above were John and Yoko's bedroom. Now, the reason I'm showing you this photo is because on the far left you can see a car parked on the grass. Yoko thought that would be a great work of art because, well, on July 1st, 1969, John and Yoko were involved in a car accident in the Scottish Highlands. The accident occurred when John Lennon, who didn't have the best vision in the world, swerved, and their car ended up rolling over and crashing into a ditch. Both John and Yoko were injured in the accident, with John suffering cuts and bruises, and Yoko reportedly sustaining more serious injuries, including a concussion. She really hurt her back. But check it out. Julian, obviously, was John Lennon's son, and Kayoko was Yoko Ono's daughter from a previous marriage. After the accident, they were transported to Golspie's Lawson Memorial Hospital, I hope I said that right, where Lennon received 17 stitches on his face, Ono received 14 on her forehead, and Kayoko received 4. Julian was treated for shock. Thankfully, he had no other injuries, and he was brought to stay with Lennon's Aunt Mater, I believe that's her name, Durness, about an hour or so away. The next day, his mom, Cynthia, brought him back to London. Cynthia also went to the hospital to see John, see how he was doing, and try to find out what happened, and supposedly he refused to meet with her. Nice, right? Lennon stayed in the hospital for a duration of 5 days. The car was then transported back to Tittenhurst Park and displayed on the lawn because, well, yeah, you're probably not going to believe this, but Yoko thought that the crashed car should be displayed on the lawn as a conceptual art piece because, well, okay, sure, it's not a work of art that, that you would normally consider to be a, work of art, something that requires incredible time and talent and perhaps even genius to create. No. Conceptual art, you see, is much more important than that, don't you know? You see, it's characterized by a focus on ideas and concepts rather than traditional aesthetics and materials or craftsmanship. In conceptual art, the concept or idea behind the artwork takes precedence, you see, over its physical form. What's the best way to explain it to you? It's idea-centric. Yeah, that's it. It's idea-centric. And so, yeah, here we have John and Yoko posing in front of their work of art, which, by the way, I was told was later crushed into a cube and displayed as a work of lawn art. Conceptual artists often challenge established norms, don't they? And they question the very definition of art, sure. Okay. And they may create art that is intentionally provocative or controversial to provoke thought and discussion. Okay. Well, we got it. So listen, everybody. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below about how this damaged automobile touches you, how you feel when you look at it, how it qualifies as a work of art worthy of display in a backyard. This photo was taken by Richard DeLello. It shows John on a mini bike, like a mini motorcycle, with Julian holding on. And based upon the brick building to the right, it looks like this may have been taken behind the Forge cottages. Based on John Lennon's shaved head, it seems that this photo was likely taken in early 1970 because John and Yoko had shaved their head. Wasn't it in January of 1970, right? There aren't many photos taken by Richard at the estate, though legend has it that John had him come over to take a whole bunch of photos, but they were confiscated by Apple, I think, so they would have them. If anybody knows any different, please let me know, because if Richard DiLello took a whole bunch of photos, it would be so cool to see them, yeah? But listen, I hope you're enjoying this video showing photos of John Lennon at Tittenhurst Park. Before I continue, can you please do me a favor and like and share the show, and kindly subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. This photo was taken by photographer Tom Hanley. I'm actually going to show you a handful of pictures taken by him in this video and at least another one. If you don't know, Tommy was born in London. He initially crossed paths with the Beatles in late September of 1963. And throughout his career, he captured images of numerous musicians. However, his connection with the Beatles remained constant, and he continued to be part of their inner circle, so they trusted him. And so this photo shows John and Yoko in their kitchen with those incredible stainless steel cabinets, which, oh man, they had to cost a fortune, right? And this space evolved over a bit of time as John and Yoko engaged in various renovations, and you can see there are posters behind them with assorted anti-establishment characters, and there's a poster on the far right of an American flag with text that insults the United States, so it shouldn't have surprised John Lennon too much when he tried to secure residency in the USA after circulating photos like this around. The door, by the way, on the far right, that leads through a corridor that goes to a kind of secret door behind a bookshelf in the billiards room at the front of the house. I'll show that another time. This photo shows John and Yoko from another angle inside that massive kitchen. And that window over the kitchen sink faces north, but because this wing of the mansion kind of juts out, it actually shows a view of the west side lawn. And so yeah, if you went out that window, and you probably wouldn't, but if you jumped out that window and you went in the direction, of that lawn, you'd soon come across the garage and then the entry to the estate. And as you can see, they're seated at that massive farm table that when he sold Tittenhurst Park, he actually left that there, and Ringo ended up selling it as part of the Julian's catalog sale in 2015. But you can see that table in photos during the Imagine sessions with a bunch of musicians seated around it. In fact, here is one of them now, showing the great George Harrison seated there. And to his right can be seen John Lennon's jukebox. And behind George, behind the cameraman actually, there's a door leading to a portion of the studio where I believe originally it was meant to be an isolated room where people could make phone calls and they could speak probably as loudly as they wanted to, and obviously nobody would be able to hear them while they're recording in the studio. This photo, also taken by Tom Hanley, shows John seated at his white piano in that large white room that I pointed out earlier, and in the Imagine film this is where he was playing the piano while Yoko walked around, opening up all the shutters. Tom also took this photo of John seated at the control deck in his residential recording studio. Tom also took this photo of John and Yoko seated at their specially made circular bathtub. It was made to be large enough for John and Yoko to be able to bathe together so they could spend even more time together. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but in these days, John and Yoko didn't really see each other all that much, And so, yeah, when you come home at the end of the day, and you're all hot and sweaty and disgusting, and you want to get all cleaned up, right? Get in the water and grab your soap. Well, it's really important, if you haven't seen your loved one all day, for them to join you in this cleansing endeavor. And so, yeah, John and Yoko are really progressive in that respect, and so this was their opportunity to spend even more time together. And to the right is their toilet, which I only mention because word has it they used to urinate and defecate in front of each other. And so that way, they would not be apart during those times either, because, you kind of want to spend time with your loved ones as much as you possibly can. In fact, ladies, I know you love your boyfriends. I know you love your husbands. I get it. But let me ask you, what would be your reaction if your boyfriend or a husband asked you to join him in the toilet while he's, well, you know. And if the roles were reversed and you had to use the toilet, would you call your boyfriend and husband in there to kind of, talk about your day's events or, whatever it is you got going on? Gentlemen, is this the sort of thing you would ask your wife or girlfriend to do? What if she demanded to be in there while you were using the toilet? What's your reaction to that sort of thing? I don't know. You tell me. What if she asked you to be in there while she is using the toilet? Does this seem like a healthy relationship to you? Kindly share your thoughts in the comments below. This photo was taken on the same day inside the billiards room that I told you about. That is the framed vintage for the benefit of Mr. Kite poster. As you likely know, the song's lyrics were inspired by that 19th century circus poster that John Lennon had purchased in an antique shop in Kent, England, advertising a performance at the Royal Circus in London, featuring various acts including Mr. Kite. I do have a lot more images to show you, but I wanted to keep this video at a reasonable length because I know your time is valuable and I really appreciate your watching for this long. And so, thank you for joining me on this sort of time travel adventure to check out some of my favorite historic photos of John Lennon at Tittenhurst Park. Kindly remember to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell because there will be more videos like this one, and I hope you check out those too. Please check out the links below to learn how to support my research and productions. Specifically, I'd really appreciate it if you could become a member of my channel and or join me on Patreon. You could also leave a super thanks in the comments below. Kindly be kind to all non-human animals and please don't eat them. They don't like that, trust me. Remember, for the benefit of compassion for all living things and their own health, all of the Beatles at some point chose a plant-based diet. In fact, Paul and Ringo are both exclusively on plant-based diets at this time, and don't they look great? And please do yourself a favor and go to a local shelter and adopt a cat or a dog. You and they will be very glad that you did. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.